بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف. اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم. اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Alhamdulillah, we have tawfiq to continue our study of practical method of self-purification by the late Ayatollah Shojai. As you know, we are discussing practical instructions for the second level of muraqabah. Today, Ayatollah Shojai introduces to us the significance of performing Nawafil, recommended acts of worship. In the first place, Salat, but also Nawafil includes other mustahabbat, like fasting, for example, ziyarah, recitation, etc. In the first level of muraqabah, we already talked about al-Layl, but here we want to talk more about all kinds of Nawafil. He starts with this beautiful ayah, Surah Al-Hijr, ayah 98. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. He starts with this ayah, Surah Taha, verse 130. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. فاصبر على ما يقولون. Be patient with respect to what they say. The enemies of the Prophet used to say lots of lies, used to insult, used to accuse him falsely, so these were painful. But Allah says you have to be patient. وَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ قبل طلوع الشمس وقبل غروبها ومن آناء الليل فسبح وأطراف النهار لعلك ترضى. But now you have to do, in addition to being patient, more tasbih, to glorify Allah more. In the discussion about tasbih, we have talked about the fact that all creatures do tasbih. When it comes to human beings and jinns, then they should do tasbih. Otherwise, everything is already doing tasbih. إن من شيء إلا يسبح بحمده. And human beings should do tasbih in different circumstances and in all circumstances. So there are specific times that we have to do tasbih, and also in all other times we have to do tasbih. If you remember, even we said that Prophet Musa ala nabiyina wa alayhi salam in Surah Taha, when he asked Allah for sharh sad, Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli waj'al li waziran min ahli Haruna akhi. And then he says, ushdud bihi azri or ashrakhu fi amri. He mentions all these things. But then he says, what's the reason? Why he asks for all these things? Why he needs all these things? كَيْ نُسَبِّحَكَ كَثِيرًا وَنَذْكُرَكَ كَثِيرًا. It's very beautiful. We want to do more tasbih. We want to remember you more. Stopping Pharaoh from his arrogance and injustice, saving Bani Israel, guiding them, all is so that we can do better tasbih. We can better reflect the purity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this world. So tasbih is very important. So Allah here says, وَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ. Glorify your Lord with his praise. Tasbih and hamd many times come together, and as I have argued in the discussion about tasbih, tasbih includes hamd based on the verses in Surah Yunus. دعواهم فيها سبحانك اللهم وتحيتهم فيها سلام وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. We have argued that hamd is also part of tasbih, because it says their call is tasbih and the end of their call is alhamdulillah. So end of something is part of it. So hamd is included in tasbih. So do tasbih with hamd قبل طلوع الشمس, before sun rises, وقبل غروبها, before sun sets. So two important parts of the day. So within our 24 hours we have very important points. One is قبل طلوع الشمس, one is قبل غروبها. ومن آناء الليل, also during the night, different moments in the night, and أطراف النهار, different parts of the day. So beginning of the day, end of the day, different moments in the day, different moments in the night, we should do tasbih and hamd. لعلك ترضى, if you do this, then you may be pleased, you may be satisfied. This is the key for your own happiness and satisfaction. So this is a general point, a general ayah, and then he says we have to do nawafil and recommend that as much as possible. Maybe he wants to say that these are instances of tasbih, instances of hamd, all fall under tasbih and hamd. Then he says, one of his key points in our discussion today is this. He says, people with limited knowledge or no knowledge, they think all the times are the same, and even sometimes they may think all the places are the same. There is no difference between Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Friday, or between different months, Rajab, Sha'ban, Ramadan, Safar, Muharram. They think they are the same. Even the places, they may think they are the same. Masjid, shrine, ordinary places, they may think they are the same. But the reality is that days, times are different, and therefore our servitude to Allah requires to act differently. In different circumstances, a servant should act differently. 12 months of calendar are not the same. It is only months of Ramadan that, for example, we have to fast. The rest, it's not obligatory to fast. Months of Ramadan is a special. It's not just by, agreement or contract that we say, okay, we choose arbitrarily 1 month and say every year in this month we fast. No. Or different days of the week. Friday is not the same as Thursday. Thursday is not the same as Wednesday. And also different times of the day. For example, for Salatul Fajr, there's a specific time, 2 rakah Salat. For Zohr, another time, 4 rakah. As another time, 4 rakah. So, why there are different expectations from us, wajib or mustahab? Because these are different times, and each time has its own specific requirement. So there is a way to observe the side of Allah, to do muraqabah of the side of our beloved Allah in every moment, in every day, every week, every month. They are different. On Jummah, for example, we do Salatul Jummah. In the time of Zuhur, appearance of Imam Ma'soom, on the days of Eid, we must do Salatul Eid Jama'ah. In the time of Ghaiba, there are differences. But in the time of Huzur, Salatul Eid becomes wajib. Or when there are ayat, like moon or sun eclipse, we have a special salah. So it means these moments are different from each other. Or Hajj is in a special season. So he says, تفاوت واجبها و اختصاص آنها به اوقات مخصوصه. The difference between different obligations and the fact that each of them is exclusive to certain time به خوبی تو را هدایت به این حقیقت می کند. It very well guides you to this fact که عبودیت را در هر وقتی آداب و وظائفی است. Servitude in every time has different etiquette and different tasks. چه در باب واجب ها چه در باب مستحب ها. Whether it would be for obligatory acts or recommended acts. And then he says, after a few lines, secrets, asrar, and blessings, barakat, موجود در نوافل و مستحبات را عقول و افهام عادی نمیتوانند بیان. Ordinary intellects cannot understand the secrets and blessings of mustahabbat and nawafil. And he says, therefore we see those who have gone high in ubudiyah, they were very particular about nawafil. Even in most difficult and challenging times, like for example Lady Zainab Salamullah alayha, in the night of after Ashura, the night after Ashura, she still does her Salatul Layl, and we say she still does her Salatul Layl. Indeed, I think that was her comfort. Everything was difficult. This was the best time for her to be with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So those are very careful about these things. People who have not gone forward that much, they take mustahabbat as something not very important. Then acting according to this mustahabbat should be, again, as we have said many times, with presence of heart and sincerity. Without sincerity, it's even worse than not doing. And without presence of heart is not that much useful. one benefit of doing mustahabbat, like for example Nawafil of prayer, is that it would compensate for problems in wajibat. It's a kind of supplement for wajibat. You remember the hadith about presence of heart, that when Imam said, I think it was Imam Zainul Abidin, that only that part would be accepted, that you have presence of heart. Someone said, halakna, we are destroyed. But then Imam said, with Nawafil, you can compensate for having no complete presence of heart. Nawafil supplements wajibat. Okay, this is one benefit. But also each nawafil, each of mustahabbat, they have their own asrar and barakat. Again, he repeats, their own secrets and blessings, and they are not the same. Each of them has its own benefit. Each of them has its own light. Nafile zuhr, nafile maghrib, nafile subh, I don't know, Salat al-Layl, fasting of recommended days. These are all different. And it would finally lead to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loving such person. Inshallah, we'll talk about it in Hadith Qurb al-Nawafil. And Allah would have a special regard for this person. And as a result, انوار ربوبی در دل سالک و در مشاعر او متجلی شود. This is his understanding of Hadith Qurb Nawafil. As a result, lights of Allah will appear in his heart and his senses and his faculties of understanding. Allah becomes his eyes, Allah becomes his ears, Allah becomes his tongue, his hand. So the doors of understanding will be opened. Now he refers to Hadith Qurb Nawafil. You are familiar with this hadith. We had it in self-knowledge, self-development, in many discussions. Imam Baqir alayhi salam has this hadith. He quotes from Wasa'il al-Shia, but I quote for you from Al-Kafi, which is earlier than Wasa'il al-Shia, in volume 2, page 352. So hadith number 7 and number 8. Hadith number 7 is from Hammad ibn Bashir قال سمعت أبا عبد الله عليه السلام يقول قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله. So Hammad ibn Bashir says, I heard Imam Sadiq saying that the Prophet said. So now the Prophet is mentioning Hadith Qudsi, a divine saying. قال الله عز وجل من أهان لي وليا فقد أرصد لمحاربتي. Whoever humiliates a friend of mine or a wali of mine, or someone who has my wilaya. Friend is not enough, but sometimes we translate. But wilaya, we have discussed what is wilaya in lectures about wilaya. So whoever humiliates a wali of mine, indeed he has stood for fighting me. Enemy of Allah is not enemy of Allah as such, because Allah doesn't have any enemy. No one can harm Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's enemy of people. Shaitan is lakum aduwwun mubin. Shaitan is enemy for you. We say he's aduwwullah, but indeed is aduw of Adam, aduw of human beings. if someone shows enmity to a friend of Allah or to a person who is under guardianship of Allah, is showing or declaring war against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's so bad. Maybe he's even a believer, maybe he's a Muslim, but puts himself into fight with Allah because he is damaging another believer. وَمَا تَقَرَّبَ إِلَيَّ عَبْدٌ بِشَيْءٍ أَحَبَّ إِلَيَّ مِمَّا افْتَرَضْتُ عَلَيْهِ. Then Allah says in this Hadith Qudsi, no one gets closer to me with anything dearer to me or more lovable to me than what I have made obligatory. So the first step is performing wajibat. We should not compromise with wajibat and do mustahabbat, Wajibat have to be done first. But then, in addition to wajibat, we do mustahabbat. وَإِنَّهُ لَيَتَقَرَّبُ إِلَيَّ بِالنَّافِلَةِ. Then he would come closer and closer to me with recommended acts. Nafilah here is not just Salat. Recommended acts. After Fara'id, we have Nawafil. Hatta uhibbah, till I love him. It's a very important turning point. Allah loves everyone, but with reservations. But these are the people, then Allah doesn't say, I love you, but I don't love this, I don't love that. They reach the point that they satisfy Allah. Although they are not perfect, maybe, but Allah loves them. In some lectures I've explained, you love two types of students without reservation. Those who are excellent in everything, they get perfect results, and those who don't get perfect results, but they show commitment, they show progress. For example, this person used to get D, now has got C. You are very pleased with this person. You know that in this way he's soon going to get A. So even if you are not perfect, but you do perfect struggle, that would be also pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, حَتَّى أُحِبَّ, when I love him, كُنْتُ سَمْعَهُ الَّذِي يَسْمَعُ بِهِ, I become his ear by which he listens. وَبَصَرَهُ الَّذِي يَبْصُرُ بِهِ, I become his eyes by which he sees. وَلِسَانَهُ الَّذِي يَنْتِقُ بِهِ, I become his tongue by which he talks. وَيَدَهُ الَّتِي يَبْتِشُ بِهِ, I become his hand by which he holds or he attacks. إِنْ دَعَانِي أَجَبْتُهُ وَإِنْ سَأَلَنِي أَعْطَيْتُهُ, if he calls me I would answer, if he asks me I will grant. This is Hadith 7 in Al-Kafi in this chapter. Hadith 8, so this was Imam Sadiq alayhi salam quoting from Rasulullah. Hadith 8 is from Imam Baqir alayhi salam. So Hadith Qurb Nawafil, we have it from both Imam Sadiq and Imam Baqir alayhi salam. Aban ibn Taghlib an Abi Ja'far alayhi salam قال لما أسري بالنبي صلى الله عليه وآله, when the Prophet was taken for ascension, then he had some conversation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He asked, Ya Rabbi, ma halul mu'min indak? My Lord, what's the situation of mu'min with you? What position a mu'min has with you? Allah said, Ya Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, man ahana li waliyan faqad barazani bil muharabah. Similar to what we had in the previous hadith. Whoever humiliates my wali has come for fight to me or against me. Wa ana asra'u shay'in ila nusrat awliyai, and I am the fastest in helping my awliya. وما ترددت عن شيء أنا فاعله كترددي عن وفاة المؤمن يكره الموت وأكره مساءته. I have never had hesitation. This is of course صفت فعل. Allah doesn't have hesitation like us. But it means if you want to interpret it, you can use hesitation. I was never reluctant or hesitant like the time that a mu'min, I want to take his life. He's going to die. He doesn't like yakrahul maut. He doesn't like death. And I don't like also to disappoint him, to upset him. Akrahu masa'atahu. I don't want him to feel bad. But on the other hand, it's better for him or her and for general maslaha that he dies or she dies. So Allah has love for this person, but He also has to let this person move to the next stage. And then the other idea that we have had in some courses, إن من عبادي المؤمنين من لا يصلحه إلا الغنى ولو صرفته إلى غير ذلك لهلك وإن من عبادي المؤمنين من لا يصلحه إلا الفقر ولو صرفته إلى غير ذلك لهلك. Some of my believing servants are made in such a way that if they are rich, they are okay. If they become poor, they lose their iman. And there are people who are opposite. If they are poor, they are okay, they are very nice, very kind. If they become rich, they become bad, they are destroyed. So I have to treat my servants differently. And then we reach the famous part. وَمَا يَتَقَرَّبُ إِلَيَّ عَبْدٌ مِّنْ عِبَادِي بِشَيْءٍ أَحَبَّ إِلَيَّ مِمَّا افْتَرَضْتُ عَلَيْهِ. None of my servants come closer to me with something dearer to me than what I have made obligatory. وَإِنَّهُ لَيَتَقَرَّبُ إِلَيَّ بِالنَّافِلَةِ. Then with nafile, recommended acts, he comes closer and closer. حَتَّى أُحِبَّهُ, till I love him. This is the turning point. فإذا أحببته كنت إذن سمعه الذي يسمع به وبصره الذي يبصر به ولسانه الذي ينطق به ويده التي يبطش بها إن دعاني أجبته وإن سألني أعطيته. So this is from Al-Kafi, volume 2, page 352-53, hadith number 7 and 8. And the title of the chapter is also باب من آذى المسلمين واحتقرهم. This chapter is about those who annoy Muslims and humiliate them. Because of that beginning, he has quoted the hadith here. Okay, so with this hadith of Qurb Nawafil, that is very key hadith and you can find it in almost every book on Islamic spirituality, we realize that what Ayatollah Shuja'i said is in place, the right place. You know that Nawafil are very, very important, and without Nawafil we cannot reach that high level of love that Allah would love us. And look at then the way the hadith, explains nearness to Allah. Allah becomes ears of someone. Allah becomes eyes of someone. Allah becomes tongue of someone, hand of someone. How much Allah loves and supports such people, and how much then their power, their understanding would be different. There is a beautiful poem from Gulshan Raz by Shabestari, one of the mystical piece of literature in Farsi is Gulshan Raz. Many people study this actually. برو تو خانه دل را فرو رو. Rubidan means to clean. مهیا کن مقام و جای محبوب. So he says, let me see. Okay, you don't have the text. Yeah. If it's possible to have the text, would be maybe helpful for.
The website wasn't working today.
I see. You're welcome. برو تو خانه دل را فرو. Go and clean the house of the heart and prepare the place for mahbub, for your beloved, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah comes to our heart. Allah doesn't go to any place other than our heart. Al-qalbu haramullah. So go and clean your heart. چطور بیرون شوی او اندر آید. But you know how you have to clean your heart? You may say, by removing dirts of hubbud dunya, I don't know, attachments, belongings. Okay, these are all correct. But all goes back to one thing: ego. So you have to go out so that Allah comes in. You have to disappear so that Allah appears. چطور بیرون شوی او اندر آید. When you go out, بیرون means out. اندر means inside. When you go out, he comes inside. به تو بی تو جمال خود نماید. He would show his beauty to you when you are without you. So if you get rid of your selfishness, your ego, then Allah will show you. But this you is not a selfish you. This you is emptied from ego. Allah will show his beauty to you. کسی کو از نوافل گشت محبوب. It's clear that he's referring to Hadith قرب نوافل, because in Hadith قرب says لا يزال يتقرب إلي عبدي بالنوافل حتى أحبه. So he says the one who because of nawafil has become mahbub, uhibba, Allah loves him. بلای نفی کرد او خانه جاروب. These people are the people that they have cleaned completely the house with law, means negating anything other than Allah. درون جای محمود او مکان یافت. ز بی یسمع و بی یبصر نشان یافت. Such people would have a praised position and they would be given this honor of Allah saying, by me he hears, or with me he hears, with me he sees. This becomes their signs. It's a very beautiful poem by Shabestari, Sheikh Mahmoud Shabestari, Gulshan Raz. In addition to presence of heart and sincerity, regularity also is very important. If you cannot do some mustahabbat all the time, do it as much as you can. But some mustahabbat, you must try to keep them regular. We had this discussion also before. If you want to see the results, the light, the barakat and secrets of those mustahabbat, they should become part of your spiritual diet. They should be regular. So try to keep some of them regular. Some of them as much as you can, but some of them at least it should be regular. He says, این بدان معنا نیست که غیر از آنچه برای مداومت انتخاب نموده است انجام ندهد. This doesn't mean that other than what he wants to keep regular, he shouldn't do anything else. No. He says it's good from mustahabbat, you do as much as you can because at least you have some benefit from them. But those that you keep regular, they are the ones that really work, and you manage to let them unfold. In Nawafil, he says the best are daily Nawafil Yawmiyah, which are, recommended ritual prayers. And we already talked about Salat al-Layl before, but in this level we talk about all of them. And then you choose from other mustahabbat what you can do more regularly. Some zikr, some tawassul, some dua. You can decide, for example, I want to do dua tawassul every night or every Tuesday night. I want to do dua kumel every Thursday night. Things like this. One of the best books that Ayatollah Shujai recommends, he says, is al-Muraqabat by the late Mirza Jawad Agha Maliki Tabrizi, who was a spiritual teacher of Imam Khomeini. He has other books. This al-Muraqabat is also one of his well-known books. Then when it comes to Salatul Layl, he says for the people who are in the second level of muraqabah, they're higher, they should not just do Salatul Layl. Here the recommendation is to do Salatul Layl in 3 installments. So after 1/3 of the night or half of the night, there are different hadiths. But basically, Salatul Layl is after midnight. You do 4 rak'ah. Then you sleep. Then you wake up. Another 4 rak'ah. Then, just before Fajr, close to Fajr, 3 rak'ah, Shaf and Watr. Then Nawafil Subh, and then Salatul Fajr. So this is his advice. And he says, Ali ibn Ibrahim, teacher of Sheikh Kulaini, quotes from Imam Sadiq through his chain of narration that Inna Rasulallah sallallahu alayhi wa alih kana idha salla al-isha al-akhirah amara bi-wudu'ihi wa siwakihi yudha inda ra'sihi mukhammara. Rasulullah, after doing his Salatul Isha, then when he was sleeping, he was asking his brush and also some water for making wudu to be there and close to his head, and the ra'sihi mukhammara, covered. Water was covered. Then he was sleeping. Then he was standing up, or he was getting up. فَيَقُومُ فَيَسْتَاقُ. Then brushing his teeth, making wudu, and يُصَلِّي أَرْبَعَ رَكَعَاتٍ. Rasulullah then was saying two rak'ah, 4 rak'ah altogether. Then again sleeping and then waking up and making sawak, brushing his tooth and then making wudu. يصلي 4 ركعات. Then again sleeping. حتى إذا كان في وجه الصبح, means close to the time of Fajr, he was again getting up and making Salat al-Shaf' wal-Watr. It says فأوتر, meaning doing Salat al-Shaf' wal-Watr, 3 rak'ah. ثم صلى الركعتين, then 2 rak'ah nafiliyya Fajr. And Imam said, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. The narrator says, I asked Imam, when he was standing up or rising or getting up, قال بعد ثلثي الليل, وقال في حديث آخر بعد نصف الليل. Perhaps ثلثي الليل means ثلث الليل, 1/3 of the night, means after midnight, 1/3 after midnight. So for example, if midnight is, for example, 12 and Fajr is, for example, 6, then after 2 hours, perhaps this is what it means, because Salatul Layl should be after midnight. Of course, there's a difference between midnight of Salatul Isha and midnight of Salatul Layl, according to some mujtahideen. So, again, this may look for some people that it's difficult, with our busy life, etc. in this age, especially some people may say, I am not able to wake up 3 times, then I cannot sleep again. These are the things that are for people with good training. This is second level of muraqabah, and for the people who have been able to train themselves and plan their life in the way that everything would be coming after their spiritual diet. We don't recommend this to everyone, and we don't think that even it's going to work for everyone if they are not able to reach certain level. Like someone who is in primary school, if he wants to do homework or exercises of people who are in high school or university, not only it's not easy, it may even sometimes confuses them, it may even sometimes exhaust them. But we should move to that direction. We should know that if we are not in that condition, which is understandable, but we have to move. If we don't make efforts to move to that direction, this is not good. Make efforts. Maybe by the time we are alive, inshallah, we reach. If we don't reach, but we have done enough efforts, inshallah, Allah will complete this journey for us, inshallah, in Barzakh. But it's important that we at least don't get distracted. We know that this is the way, and the best time that we have is the time that we spend with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we are able to understand the necessity of it and feel sad that I am not able to do it, this by itself is a progress. But if I feel sad when I do these things, or I have no interest in them, I have no experience of sweetness, then it's alarming and worrying. Inshallah, bi'Iznillah, in the next session we have a detailed discussion, very long discussion about sajda, because sajda is very important, and in some hadiths, this is the nearest position that servant has with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is about almost 17-18 pages about sajda. Then after sajda, inshallah, we will talk about fikr. We have long discussion about fikr. Discussion about fikr is about 68 pages. 68 pages about fikr. Then about dhikr. Then about wird. وَجَعَلْ أَوْرَادِي كُلَّهَا وِرْدًا وَاحِدًا in du'aikum. Then about sahar with ha, not ha, means keeping night awake. We will talk about it in particular. And 10 is about tawbah and istighfar. And this tawbah and istighfar is more than 100 pages. So these are 10 instructions for second level of muraqabah. We have, alhamdulillah, discussed 14 of them so far. 10 from first level, 4 from second, 6 are remaining. We ask Allah for tawfiq to understand and to implement, inshallah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.
Thank you very much, Sheikh.
May Allah bless you. Thank you.
Discussion, and we need a lot of tawfiq, inshallah.
Inshallah.
To implement. We have a question that's come through on the chat.
Yes.
Just read this out. The question says, if you have a lot of qadha salat and fasting too, should you do qadha salat instead of salatul layl and nawafil? Or can you make a separate time for qadha namaz, for example at weekends, and continue with salatul layl and nawafil every day? Also the timings of salatul layl, if for example fajr is at 6, would the timings be just after midnight, then 4 a.m., then just before 6 a.m., then fajr? Again, I don't know. Also people ask the question about nawafil, nafil of fajr. Is it before adhan of fajr or after fajr? You can also include that in your answer.
Yeah, thank you. If we have qadha for fasting, we cannot do mustahab fasting. So we have to do qadha of fasting first. But for salat, even if someone has qadha, he can still do nawafil. Nawafil are so important that still he can do nawafil and do qadha later. If someone is not able to do qadha, has many qadha and is worried, I think at least should do salatul layl. Doesn't take that much, inshallah, can do quickly, and do also her qadha or his qadha. But if you want to do all nawafil also, there is no problem. There is no kind of restriction. For fasting there is restriction, but for salat no. Just the main thing is that you should not delay too much, so that you don't manage to do it. Nafilatul Fajr is after Fajr, before Salatul Fajr. So Azan Fajr, when you are sure that it is Fajr, because in some places we are not sure, we wait till Azan finishes, or in some places we wait even 10 minutes, 15 minutes. But basically, whenever is the real Fajr, you can start with Nafilah, and then after Nafilah Fajr, Salatul Fajr. But for those who do Salatul Layl, they normally say that after Salatul Layl you can do Nafili Fajr, even if still you are not sure it's Fajr or it's before Fajr, after Salatul Layl. But you check your marja, the Salah of your marja, they discuss these things in the discussion about Salat. There's discussion about mustahab Salat. They say this. The real time, the original time for Nafili Fajr is after Adhan or after Fajr starts. This is the best place. But you can do it after Salatul Layl as well. What was the other question?
I think the other part was what you touched on in your talk about the timings.
Yeah.
So, just after midnight and then 4 a.m. and then just before 6 a.m.
Yeah. If you cannot do it, just do it at once together. And the best time is closer to Fajr, end of Layl. If you are worried that you may end up missing Salatul Layl, but if you are able, especially some people sleep late, maybe they can do part of Salatul Layl and part of it later. The best form, if someone can do, is, as we said, like Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, make it in 3 installments, but not expected from everyone, not also wise to try to do it and then end up not doing at all, because one night you do it and then the next night you say I have headache, etc.
There's another question that's on the chat from Sister Kubra. She says, thank you very much, Sheikh.
Yeah, welcome.
Taking the example of Lady Zainab and her Nawafil further, can we say that when she said Ma ra'aytu illa jamila, that it may be the part of the hadith that Allah becomes the eye that the servant sees with when she's mentioning this?
Yeah, this is a very deep statement of the lady, and I once explained this in a lecture, I think it was 2016. What is my humble understanding of this? Briefly, even if you look from the eyes that Allah says, I become the eyes of this person, still you would see that there are problems in the world. Yeah, it's not that the Lady Zainab Salamullah alayha didn't see any problem, didn't see barbaric acts of the enemies, didn't see suffering of children and women and martyrdom of Imam Hussein. For sure she saw all these things, for sure she cried, her heart was full of pain, but she didn't let the negative side to capture all her attention. Sometimes problems of the life capture our attention and we don't see the large picture. If we see the large picture, we would see Karbala not as a damned place, as a vicious place because many crimes took place in that place, although many crimes took place, but it's a very blessed land, it's very sacred land. Why? Because so much beauty was there, so much light was there, so much dedication was there, so much sincerity, purity was there, so much love for Allah was there, that the general picture is sacred. And then any sacred place, we want to say it comes second to Karbala, third to Karbala, for example. Or any sacred day, say Kullu Ardhin Karbala. In a sense, it means that Karbala is very high. Not we can reach it or surpass it easily, or Kullu Yawm Ashur. So I think this was what the lady meant, that she was able to see the large picture and was not sidetracked or distracted by problems which were very painful. But why we don't see so much beauty there? This is the problem of people like me, many people. When we see problems in the life, we forget all the good things which are there, all the blessings which are there. Rasulullah was orphan, Rasulullah was suffering, Abu Sufyan was annoyed. But we shouldn't think that his life was just suffering. Why you don't see so many other things there as well? So, ma ra'aytu illa jamila doesn't mean she didn't see any ugly things. It means that if she has one vision, one analysis, one interpretation of the whole thing, that's beautiful. But inside that, actually, for having that beauty emerge better, you need contrast. You need to have also some problems, but those problems serve to understand the beauty better.
Thank you, mashallah. That was a very beautiful answer.
Alhamdulillah.
We have a question that's come on the chat. It says, Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
If one has limited time, which would be more recommended to take time during the sahar? For Salatul Layl, and then wake up later for the Salatul Subh, since morning prayers has a duration or fadila, instead of praying Salatul Subh right at the beginning of time. So I think I know what you would recommend. You'd probably recommend praying Salatul Layl just before and then praying Salatul Fajr on time. However, this question seems to suggest if you have to choose between fadila and Salatul Layl.
If you have to choose, maybe, I'm not sure, because we don't have so many things to measure all these things. We go by what we have in the hadith. But for example, if you delay Salatul Fajr for 15-20 minutes, but you can do Salatul Layl, maybe it's okay, because it's not necessary to do it exactly sharp at the beginning. Even if you do it with some delay, it still can be considered orphan as awwalul waqt. But if the sun is going to, the sky is going to become bright, and you are doing furada, then it's better not to delay that much. But if it's Jama'ah, it's okay. Ayatollah Bahjat, for the sake of maybe people, he was doing his Salatul Fajr Jama'ah when the sky was bright, maybe half an hour, for example, before sunrise. But for Jama'ah, but for Furada, it's better not to delay that long. But if it is a little bit, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, but you can do also Salatul Layl, then it seems okay. Wallahu alam.
And I think that's all the questions on the chat. If anybody has a question they want to ask live, feel free to do so. But I'm not seeing any currently. So I think with that, inshallah, we can conclude the dua.
Inshallah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. Astaghfirullah Rabbi wa atubu ilayh. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا وامن علينا برضاه وهب لنا رأفته ورحمته ودعاءه وخيره وامن علينا برضاه وهب لنا رأفته ورحمته ودعاءه وخيره. اللهم اجعل صلاتنا به مقبولة. اللهم اجعل دعاءنا به مستجابا. اللهم اجعل همومنا به مكفية. اللهم اجعل حوائجنا به مقضية. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم اشف مرضانا. اللهم ارحم موتانا. اللهم يسر أمورنا. اللهم اجعل عواقب أمورنا خيرا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. التماس دعا please.